Health officials are warning beachgoers to be cautious in coastal waters after reports of deadly infections caused by Vibrio vulnificus, a flesh-eating bacteria that thrives in warm seawater and brackish environments. The bacteria is considered the most dangerous of more than a dozen Vibrio species. While cases remain relatively rare, Vibrio vulnificus infections are highly lethal, killing about 1 in 5 people who become infected. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. To tell us more how you can stay safe as summer comes to a close here is public health expert and infectious disease specialist Dr. Tyler Evans, CEO and co-founder of Wellness and Equity Alliance. Thank you so much for joining us today on Live Now from Fox. We appreciate it.
Great to be here.
Can you start by telling us what exactly this bacteria is and why this is the most dangerous of that species?
Sure. I can break this up into a few different buckets, sort of what is it, how is it transmitted, what are the risk factors, and then, if you'd like, we can go into sort of diagnosis and treatment. So what is it? Vibrio is essentially, it's a family of different bacteria. Basically, the Vibrio look like a small little capsule if you're looking under the microscope. It is a distant cousin to cholera, which is a very serious disease. And typically this Vibrio family of species is vulnificus specifically is around coastal waters, particularly around warm waters. And we typically see spikes somewhere between May and October. And when we're seeing these increases in temperature, particularly with climate change, which is real, we have seen particularly an increase in detection of Vibrio vulnificus over the course of the last 20 years or so. It's actually increased about tenfold. So it is real, it is increasing. How is it transmitted? It is transmitted through typically if you're swimming in the waters. Now, the good news is usually if you don't have any cuts or anything like that, or any recent piercings or anything like that, you should be fine. But if you do have any recent scratches, cuts, especially if there's any recent bleeding, you're going to want to probably stay out of the water. And so that's a key consideration. Also eating raw shellfish. So if you're eating raw shellfish, you like your oysters, you like your mussels, just probably stay away during those sort of, time periods. Or if there are any concerns about you feeling sick or something like that, then make sure that you're contacting a doctor after that. One other thing that you could do if you do have those scratches or piercings or whatnot, make sure that you're cleaning it really vigorously after you get out of the water. But just to manage expectations, the flesh-eating bacteria, I know that sounds really scary and dangerous, but folks can still enjoy their summers. They just have to take their precautions. Oh, and risk factors. The most important risk factors are liver disease, particularly alcohol-related cirrhosis. Actually, just sort of an exceptional amount of alcohol in general. That is associated with coastal waters. So, if you're drinking a lot, probably want to stay out of the water.
Let's talk about the symptoms here and what people should look out for, and really how quickly does this develop? When do you become symptomatic there after the exposure?
Sure. So, if you've got essentially it's a cellulitis, which is basically an infection of the skin. Essentially, you're going to get sort of a angry looking red irritation around the areas where there might be infections. So those are probably going to be associated with those breaks in the skin that we were talking about before. So if you're seeing anything like that, again, and it's associated with a recent exposure to warm coastal waters, particularly around the Gulf area, you're going to want to go see a primary care doctor. There are other severe manifestations of it, something called septicemia, basically it getting into your bloodstream. With that, you're going to get a fever, you're going to get a lot of other associated symptoms that are going to make you feel really, really profoundly sick. You have to go to the ER if that's the situation. Finally, diarrhea. Diarrhea is going to be another really important symptom, particularly with respect to eating that shellfish that we were talking about.
So one of my last questions for you here then, what are the treatment options if you do happen to get this bacteria?
So good. So the good news is there is a treatment. It's an antibiotic. So again, so the Vibrio is bacteria. Bacteria is alive, right? Viruses are not. So antibiotic against life, right? So antibiotics are available. Typically, it's cephalosporin, doxycycline. Don't chat GPT that. Go see a doctor. But the good news is there is a doctor. I mean, there is a doctor. Well, there are doctors. There is treatment, and go seek help as soon as you possibly can. The last piece that I'll say is, why is it increasing? Again, there's, profound sort of increases in climate change, and it's important to sort of track that. And in my book that I just recently published, Pandemics, Poverty, and Politics, we basically document the correlation with the changes in the environment, and particularly why public health is so important to be able to detect that and respond to it.
All right. Very good tips there. Thank you, Dr. Tyler Evans, for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Happy to be here, Christy. Thank you.